What does ChatGPT say about crypto? I want to show you guys exactly how this tool works. You absolutely have to use this tool. It is, reported to be the Google killer, the tool that everyone is using for everything, and using it in a way that you never would have thought of. And if you don't know what it is, real breakdown, and literally ChatGPT is where you get to put in any type of search query that you have, as detailed as you like, and it will spit back immediately exactly what information is required. And I'm going to go through a live example of what that looks like with respect to the crypto space. So let's just jump right in. And then at the end, I have something very interesting to share about how people are using it. One particular example. All right. So first thing is you want to say chat GPT, and Twitter is on fire about it. It has been for several weeks, as well as YouTube. And the use cases for this tool continues to grow. Now, chat GPT is actually been created by a company called OpenAI. And what it allows you to do is, instead of you doing Google searches where then you have to filter through the links and look at individual places to find your information, this spits out exactly what you want, or at least roughly what you want, right? There are some things that it's trying to work its kinks out, it being AI, but I put in a bunch of search queries, and unless it's something really new, it's pretty spot on. So we're going to go in here, we're going to try it. Okay, now I'm going to log in. I have an account. Sign up is really quick. All you have to do is you can sign up with Google, your Gmail account, or go ahead and create just a regular email password. But I will get in here, right here. Continue with Google. We get in here. All right. So we're in here. Okay, now this is a free research preview, and that's another thing. It's completely 100% free. I do see them going down the road and potentially monetizing this because it has been so valuable. But for now, it's free, so use the heck out of it right now. All right, so it has a couple of disclaimers in there. Whatever you do put in there, obviously is going to go to their data bank, which they could review and take a look at. So they're saying don't share any sensitive information. And it says it's optimized for dialogue. Let us know if a particular response was good or unhelpful. And this is how they're training their system to become more optimized. And they have a Discord server as well. All right, so all you do is you go down to the search bar here. It's very simple UI, but here's what I want to do. I want to put in something about crypto, right? And so here's what we're going to say. Top 5 reasons people are afraid. Or let's say this, top 5 reasons people don't like crypto. Look at this. It is instant. Okay, and I'm gonna let this finish out, and then we'll go ahead and talk about some of these points here. And people are actually using this tool to, the school for students, they're actually using it for assignments and tests and whatnot, or people are creating books out of this, content for their books, and even content for their YouTube videos. 100% is being used, kind of like I am right now. It's what's happening. But let's go through, the top 5 reasons why people don't like crypto. So number 1 here, lack of understanding. It says many people may not fully understand how cryptocurrencies work and may be hesitant to invest in something they don't fully understand. And that's pretty commonplace, right? Not just for crypto, but for anything for us where we don't understand what it's about, our first inclination is to say it's useless. You look at, the internet, you look at the phone, TVs as well, mobile phones for sure. Every new technology that's come across our table, if you haven't grown up with it, your immediate reaction is to be like, this is a waste of time. It's useless. I've done things in the past perfectly fine. I don't need to refine it. And so this is the same thing, right? So a lack of understanding is the first one that they spit out here. Number 2 they have is volatility. It says cryptocurrencies can be highly volatile, which means their value can fluctuate significantly in a short period of time. This can be intimidating for some people who are risk averse or who are not comfortable with the idea of losing a significant amount of money in a short period of time. 100% true. And while the volatility is always looked at as a negative, for those who are savvy, volatility is looked at as a very big positive, because that's where you make significant gains. So while this point here is about how you can lose significant amount of money in a short period of time, the flip side is also true, that you can gain a lot of money in a short period of time. So it's also why it's attractive, right? But just the fluctuations, and people automatically assume that if something is volatile, that there's no inherent value to it, that you should stay away from it. And I disagree. Not everything can be labeled with the same brush or painted with the same brush. But look, it spits out. What's great about this is it actually spits it out in perfect sentences. Like, this isn't a point form, we're missing a bunch of words. It just seems like it's trying to spit anything out. This is fluid. It's as if somebody wrote it, like a human being wrote it. Okay. Now, obviously, there are limitations in the emotions and some nuances there, but look at the query that I gave it and look what spit out, right? So what's number 3 is lack of regulation. Cryptocurrencies are not regulated in the same way that traditional currencies and financial instruments are. This lack of regulation can be off-putting for some people who are used to the more traditional financial system. So you're talking about the stock market, you're talking about real estate, you're talking about, any investment that's been there for some time. There is regulation surrounding it. Now, here's the thing, though, and maybe I'll do a search after this as well, but the SEC, and there are regulatory bodies who are looking at crypto. Now, they don't necessarily haven't come out and put policies in place, but it's not as if things are not being looked at. And even with the spaces like the stock market or real estate, there's quite a bit of projects and quite a bit of vehicles that are used within them that no seasoned and veteran investor of that space would use. For example, in the stock market, the SPAC, right? This special purpose vehicle that they use, special purpose acquisition company, which is literally just a shell company that says, hey, give us money. And, within a time period of 18 to 24 months, whatever they deem is necessary, we will at some point acquire a real company. And they may say what the industry is, they may not. So literally you're giving them money. And this was hot back in 2021 tail end and all through 2020 and 2021 was give us a bunch of money, trust us that we will acquire the right company and we will grow. Super speculative, ended up being super volatile, and things are getting smashed across the board. So even in the industries that are heavily regulated, you have volatility, you have lack of regulation for certain things that you would not think would exist in those spaces. But having said that, that is one of the reasons why people are afraid or don't like cryptocurrencies. Number 4, security concerns. Cryptocurrencies are stored in digital wallets, which are vulnerable to cyber attacks. There have been instances where people have lost their entire cryptocurrency holdings due to hacking or other security breaches. That's 100% true, right? And this is why those of us in the space always say, if it's not your keys, it's not your coins or not your crypto. So if you leave it on an exchange that's tapped into the internet, there's always a chance that it will be hacked. Something will happen. They'll freeze your account, they'll suspend. 2022 has been the biggest poster child for owning your own assets in a cold wallet. So this ties into lack of understanding. And when people don't understand that you can own your own assets and how you can shift it over into a cold wallet where you can't be hacked, that's when you start looking at everything as the same. Like, look what happened to Voyager, look what happened to BlockFi, FTX. So everything is like that. That's not the case. Even hot wallets, while they're not optimal because they can still be hacked into, they're still safer than keeping it on an exchange. Cold wallets are by far the best. So again, this ties into lack of understanding. And there have been hacks. Your banks get hacked, right? Banks get hacked. Major companies get hacked all the time. That blows over. The safety concern is not there. They shore up the safety issues and continue. Here, if something happens, the entire industry gets labeled as a security concern and becomes problematic. So what's number 5? Number 5 is limited acceptance. While the acceptance of cryptocurrencies has increased in recent years, they are still not accepted as widely as traditional currencies. This can make it difficult for people to use cryptocurrencies in their everyday lives, which can be a deterrent for some. So look, the end of the day, it's about use cases. If cryptocurrencies, especially Bitcoin, like the blue chip ones or stable coins, if they can't be used freely in the places that you go on an everyday basis, people just aren't going to look at it as a currency. If I can't do my regular day things through this, currency, then it's not valuable to me. And so mass adoption, while it's growing slowly, it's going to grow on the backs of use cases and mass adoption of crypto rails, crypto payment rails, meaning you can use crypto to pay for everything and anything. That's when things start to come into play, and people don't really care that it's Bitcoin they're using or ETH that they're using. It's the same to them as a dollar. Like, I need that item and I can use this to exchange for that item. That's all they care about. So these were the 5 reasons why people don't like crypto. But here's what I want to go. Since I love this tool, we're going to go with the top 3 reasons, top 3 misconceptions about crypto. Let's see it. And look, bang, bang. I mean, this is unbelievable. I'm in love with this tool, and maybe I'm a little bit late to the party because the cat's been out of the bag for a little bit here, but I wanted to highlight this. If you haven't caught this, that it's time for you to play with this. And so, okay, so here's the top 3. Okay, so these are the top 3 reasons why, or top 3 misconceptions about crypto. So 1 is cryptocurrencies are only used for illegal activities. This has been the biggest debate or point that's used for those who are against crypto, whether it be government, whether it be your friend, your neighbor. This will usually be in the top 3, if not the very first thing that they say. And look, here's what it goes on to say. While it is true that cryptocurrencies have sometimes been used for illegal activities, such as money laundering and drug trafficking, it is a misconception to think that all or even most cryptocurrency use is for illegal purposes. In reality, cryptocurrencies can be used for a wide variety of legitimate purposes, including buying and selling goods and services, making investments, and transferring money internationally. The biggest use case, especially for those who have large sums of money or assets, is the fact that 1, they're not liquid enough. 2, they don't own it themselves. They have to go through somebody in order to use it or move it. And 3, when they want to move it, they have to jump through so many hoops and so many fees to actually make that happen. And the time it takes for that to actually process is all a big headache. And so crypto comes in and you own the assets. You decide when you want to transfer it. It could be on a Sunday at 11 p.m. Don't have to wait for a bank to open up. I don't have to wait for anyone to give me approval. And no one's taking any of their fees for the amount that I'm doing, right? There's a little bit of fees just for using the blockchain, but it's nothing compared to what banks are taking. And I could do it quickly. That's the thing. So just from a payment perspective, it's a massive technological shift, and people don't understand that. So they're always talking about illegal activities. We're talking about public blockchains. Obviously illegal activity does happen. It happens in every industry and every technology. They're going to happen. But when you talk about things like Bitcoin, that's what people say is used for illegal activity. It is the worst, the absolute worst currency to use for illegal activity because it is all public. You can trace the wallet. Now, we don't know the name of the person using the wallet, but you can see the activity on the blockchain. So if you steal 10 million, if you steal 3 million, you can follow those assets from the wallet. You can and then just track the person through there. And that's what has already happened when FBI has seized $1 billion worth of Bitcoin and all that kind of stuff. They've used the blockchain to do that. Try doing that with cash. Very difficult to follow that paper trail. But with a blockchain, it's a public ledger. So that's misconception number 1. Misconception number 2, cryptocurrencies are not safe. While it is true that cryptocurrencies are vulnerable to cyber attacks and other security breaches, it is a misconception to think that they are inherently unsafe. In fact, many cryptocurrencies have built-in security measures to protect against hacks and other forms of fraud. Additionally, there are best practices that users can follow to keep their cryptocurrency safe, such as using strong passwords and enabling 2-factor authentication. So look, we already kind of touched on that listen, everything in crypto is not safe. That's not the case. I mean, this is a major technology shift. safeguards are in place, that doesn't mean it, the criminals are not smart enough to bypass some of it. But overall, the community is so plugged into that blockchain that they know. And when something happens, they can follow that money or that currency on the blockchain, and things get resolved a lot faster. You can limit what happens, the actions that happen, and you can do a lot of things because things are public and you can see what's happening. So misconception number 3 is cryptocurrencies are a passing fad. Another common misconception about cryptocurrencies is that they are a passing fad that will eventually fade away. However, the use of cryptocurrencies has been steadily increasing over the past few years, and it is likely that they will continue to be used and accepted by a growing number of individuals and businesses in the future. I think just for this alone, I'm in love with ChatGPT. These are literally the 3 things that people always say to me. It's a fad. Just like the internet was a fad, just like the smartphone was a fad. All those things that we use now as second nature, once were looked at as a fad and laughed at and said that there was no place for it. This will be the exact same thing, but on steroids. It's going to be a much bigger infiltrator of all that we do because it's going to hit every single industry. The internet definitely did that, but the rate of adoption and the rate of innovation in the space far exceeds anything we have ever seen. So for any of you who think, or anyone you know who thinks it's a fad, absolutely 100% dead wrong. Dead wrong. So we covered that, but I did say that I was going to show you an interesting way that GPT is being used. Fascinating to me, okay? So I'm going to stop this, and I want to show you guys exactly what this is, okay? So here we go. This, to me, this blew me away. So this person on Twitter wrote, AI knows. What is he talking about? So this, again, you guys are kind of familiar with what this looks like. This is a ChatGPT user interface. And the query here was, this wasn't even a question. It was actually a command. It said, write some hype about a Web3 startup in the style of Mark Andreessen. If you don't know who Mark Andreessen is, he is one of the, if not the most well-known investor in our generation. He was part of Netscape and the early beginnings of the internet, made massive amounts of wealth, and they have their own Web3 fund, which is called A16Z, and they're just crushing it. Almost every big breakthrough, even before Web3, they've been a part of, and definitely now a part of Web3. So what this query is, or what this command is hey, write something. I mentioned before that people are using this to write articles or content for videos or whatever it is. So they wrote here for fun, write an article or a piece of content in the style of that person. So as if that person is writing it, Mark Andreessen. And right away, what pops up? ChatGPT, it comes through. So it goes on to say Web3 is the future of the internet. And it goes on and on and on, okay? I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it literally wrote a piece. I'm going to stop the share here with you guys. It literally wrote a piece in the style of that person. So there are definitely some dangerous things that can happen here. Content can be written quickly and, plagiarized, because you don't even know where some of this content is coming from. And maybe they're using exact wording from articles as they are, which would be a copyright issue. So this whole tool is used for content framework. Would never suggest copy and pasting anything that you're going to release publicly. It's more just understanding that this is Google 4.0, not even Google 2.0. It's 4.0. I don't have to go through and select through certain links. I don't have to do the work to find my things. It just tells me straight out. Love it. Watch it. And use it. Okay, definitely use this tool and see what comes up for you. I would love if you guys put in the comments some of the more interesting search queries or commands that surprised you that it was actually able to come through on. I would love to see that. If you found value in this video, please hit the like button and subscribe.